Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and it's a very special day today as I'm joined here by another community member, Mr. JE6, actually, as he's known on the good old YouTube. Now, Jay is part of our community, and I met him about, I don't know, 2.5 to 3 years ago now, man. It's been
Yeah,
quite some time. So I'm going to hand it over to Jay now and kind of let him tell a story of how he got started and go through the old origin stories here.
sure. And thanks again, Krown, for having me. I appreciate it, man. Um, so I'd say my trading beginning is pretty similar, probably to most people. Matter of fact, I'll go before that. So I actually come from the land of poker,
Ah,
which
right,
is
right.
another pretty common thing. I see that a lot in traders. But yeah, I did play like essentially that was my sole income for 5, 6 years or so.
Oh, wow. Okay. I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah. We're going back to 2011. Like that's
Jesus. Back before
so,
like Poker Stars and everything, huh?
right, yeah. So then, like, I'm sure everyone, well, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people are familiar with Black Friday. Like, they shut down
Yeah.
poker sites and everything. So that was pretty rough for a lot of people. But it actually, so what happened is people started migrating from online poker to back, I should say, migrating
Yeah.
back to live poker, right? And then it's almost, I kind of think it's similar to like probably what happened with like pit traders and Lobex or whatever, like the computer when they made that
Yeah.
switch. Like some people just didn't make it. Some weird transition for a
The
lot of
game
people. But
completely changed. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Um, so anyway, I was playing a lot more live poker than I had in the past, and um, just from being around some of these guys that were more like recreational players, like big money kind of guys that would just come in and have fun. I started learning more and more about them because I was pretty young at that time, like very young actually. And
How early were you getting started there?
pretty much since I've been old enough to enter casino.
Nice one.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I pretty much got so like and I don't want to get sidetracked, but like I didn't really have a financial education, no background at all.
Did you go to school?
No college, a
No
little bit
college.
of like community college here
Gotcha. Okay.
around Philly, but
How'd you learn poker if
not
you don't mind me
really.
interrupting you?
What's that?
How'd you learn poker?
Like the how did I learn to play?
Yeah.
Just picking up. I actually did put a little money into my poker education too, like the way people do
Ah,
with
okay.
trading.
Right.
Not right away, of course. I got beat up a bunch, and it's like, damn, this isn't working out. What am I gonna do? Like, I gotta fix this, and then you end up finding something to help you out, which I was lucky enough to link up with a couple of really good guys actually, who kind of started steering me in the right direction and just kind of take that. Again, I feel it's kind of similar to trading because like people first they have like that gleam in their eye, like it's going to be a blast. I'm going to blah blah blah. I'm
Yeah.
drive McLaren next month and yada yada yada. It's like that you come to the realization very quickly that that's not really it's not the way things go, and it's
Yeah.
not that easy. Like people just have this thing, idea that it's super easy, but
Well,
anyway,
people also have this like weird idea that it's all about luck too. And I knew plenty of professional poker players when I was trading on an Arca because they would all come down from Las Vegas, and those guys would actually make really fucking good traders. But it was very similar in the sense that like just like you were saying, people come in and because there's a very low barrier of entry where just about anyone can get can create an online account and trade on fucking Poker Stars or BitMEX, for example. And you might get lucky a few times because statistics work out in your favor, and then all of a sudden you get slapped in the face by reality, huh?
yeah, and the variance in poker is like that's one thing that kind of I had the wind at my back coming into trading because, of course, especially for short time frame traders, you're gonna have that variance where you're doing the right thing, getting hit on your stops regardless. It's part of the game. In poker, it's like especially some of the different variants, like you know, there's like no limit hold'em's most popular. Everyone knows. There's like Omaha, which is like you play 4 cards, et cetera, et cetera. Some of those other variants, it gets crazy. Like you can have, you could be 88 93% favored and just get cracked on a huge pot, and it's like it's just another day's work. You know, it's rough. It's rough. Overall, poker life, but so yeah, basically a couple of the guys that I was playing live with actually were always talking about the markets, always talking about foreign exchange, believe it or not, which was kind of weird now that I think about it. But yeah, these are like older gentlemen, you know, established business guys. So long story short, that's kind of where I got my introduction into trading itself, like that, just the idea that you can go and there's an open market and you can, you know, transact in that market and hopefully take money out of that market.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say 2014, 15 is when I would say I was making a transition from poker into trading, more heavily weighted toward trading.
If you don't mind me asking, what prompted that change? Why did you want to, what interested you into going into trading rather than poker, for example?
Family, man.
Family, really?
Little ones.
Really? Oh, okay.
So poker is not, so I have kids and.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I got 2 girls and it's not.
Oh, nice.
It's just not family. I don't have the right phrase for it, but like family friendly, I guess. It's like you're grinding like a savage, just like all night, you know.
Okay.
And especially when it goes back to live, and you're no longer at your desk in your home. You're out at the casino, and just the quality of life is horrible. After a while, most guys get burned out. I definitely was getting burned out.
Yeah.
And again, I kind of had that thing in the back of my mind pretty much from originally. I mean, just kind of that allure that kind of comes with learning about trading. I'm like, oh, this might be my thing, you know? Yeah.
Right.
So,
right. How old were you at this point, if you don't mind me asking?
Probably 20s, mid-20s.
Okay, so you were like still pretty young.
Yes.
Absolutely. So yeah.
I mean, I'm still pretty young now. I like to fix money.
I tell myself the same thing.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? Oh, so yeah, I'm making a transition into trading, and I basically had no idea what I was doing. Like most people, when they first get it, looking up free stuff, just trying to figure things out on my own.
What were you trading at first? Were you getting into crypto or forex or traditional? Or?
No, this is back when they had like what was it? FMXE, like some of like the forex brokers that are no longer operating in the States. And
just for anyone who's not aware, like it used to be pretty much open game for a while, and then kind of regulators came in. One broker was a big one that came down, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, one broker, Fox, I think was one.
Apparently, they don't like it when you're trading equities. It's not regulated.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that because crypto actually. My introduction to crypto, it was all kind of like within, I would say, maybe 8 to 10 month period. It was kind of because like a lot of these poker guys were in crypto early,
Gotcha. Okay. Similar crowd.
Just the online aspect, people were able to move money around like that. That's how I was actually introduced to Bitcoin, in general. But and then, shortly after I learned that, oh, wow, you can trade crypto too, the same way. Like, this is nuts, and that's like super low barrier entry. Anybody can fire it in there no matter what. So,
oh, definitely.
And I definitely was one of those people, blew up more accounts, just ridiculous stuff that makes my stomach hurt sometimes when I think about it now. But, that's pretty much, I was very, like, I definitely lost a lot of money when I first started trading. There's no question about it. And I kind of fell to, I guess, the pitfalls that most people do, I would imagine, like just kind of boom and bust and you think you figured out the market, you solve the equation, you know, you have a hot month or what have you, and just end up getting worked on.
So it
You
sounds
know,
like
the
you had a little
following
bit of
month.
early successes and then just got like fucking bodied.
The worst time, it's literally the worst, man. I would have
Yeah.
rather, yeah, I would have rather got bodied immediately and like, okay, this is hard as hell. Let me not like think I'm on my high horse and stuff, you know. I'm like, oh, look what I can do. This is,
Yeah,
you know, pick my
exactly.
feet up and hang out. Like it's no big deal. Sorry, I just shook my thing here. But yeah. So yeah, mostly back to what I was saying. Like mostly forex is how I came into trading in general, and I knew like about stocks and stuff like that, but just in my head, it's always more like long term stuff.
Hmm.
But so, yeah, so basically from the door, like when I got into trading, it's always been short term, always.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay. So mostly just focusing on short-term time frames, you mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Um, and you know, since back then, I mean, I'm talking about like when I first got involved in trading at all, just kind of finding my way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always started short term stuff. Like I just thought that was it. You know, now it's a bit of a different story. I definitely do scalp every day still, but
Hmm.
I also do some other stuff in the background to kind of ease the pressure of depending on, you know, firing 20, 30 trades a day, 5 days a week,
Yeah.
nonstop. Um, so yeah, let me go back to, you know, I get involved in trading a bit. I blow up a bunch of money, more than twice, more than 3 times, probably 4 decent size accounts I blew
Yeah.
up. And, you know, I'm not ashamed to say that because it's what it is, you know, and then
Yeah, man.
that's
I
part of
mean,
my
I feel
story.
like we all kind of have stories like that, to be honest with you. How are you getting funded if you were blowing out your account? Did you have like another more steady job or?
Through 20, let's say 14-ish and like 16, yeah, I did some
Mhm.
other like side stuff, basically, nothing
Okay. Okay.
crazy. Um, but I did do really well in poker and I cashed a couple big tournaments.
Gotcha.
Um,
So you kind of had a bit
yeah,
of like savings going on,
yeah, I
keeping you
was doing
safe.
okay,
Okay.
right? Which I could have just set on fire and had the same, you know, this is basically the same difference, but yeah, that happened fairly quickly. So again, I kind of found myself in that spot that I did you know, back in the day when I was learning about poker, where I'm like, you know, this is like I know that it's possible. I've seen people do this. Like I know there's
Hmm.
people out there that do this successfully. So I know the odds, the percentages, the stats are against me. You know, regarding my success, not very
Right.
likely, but you know, I'm gonna in my mind, I guess maybe it's like ego. I don't know. I was probably cocky when I was younger too, but I just figured like if I could, the way I figured out poker, and if I could do okay in poker, I could do okay in trading. And although they're very similar and you can carry a lot of the stuff over, they are very different too, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much what kept me hanging around and not throwing in the towel and saying fuck it, you know, I quit, whatever, I'm
Right.
done.
Right.
Because I did like really think that it was possible. I knew it was possible.
So
Um,
you always kind of knew like, okay, this can be done, even though I'm kind of struggling right now. This actually is possible.
100%. There's people that do it. You know,
Right.
there's why can they do it and why can't I do what they're doing? You know, there's
Yeah.
we're
I
all
had a very similar experience myself because when I was first getting started, I was surrounded by, all people who are like double, triple my age. And they've been doing it for fucking 20, 30 years. It's in one case, 40 years. And it's like,
mm,
okay, well, if these guys can do it, like it has to be possible theoretically, or it's not just theoretically, it's like it's real. And that was like a
sure.
big motivating thing. And that's why I think it's really fucking important to kind of surround yourself with these sorts of people because they can continue to remind you that it is actually possible, even though it's quite fucking difficult too and gonna take a lot of
Yeah,
work.
yeah, no question, absolutely. Um, so I would say like all that time between 2014 and 16, I guess, give or take a little bit.
Hmm.
I wasn't quite yet like 100% gung ho, like this is going to be my career type thing. Number one, because I wasn't making money. I was,
Yeah.
booming and busting all over the place. And then uh, that's pretty much it. There was no number two. I actually, I got a super, I mean, I'm like really, really grateful. But I consider it somewhat luck that I,
Yeah.
I had a family member. It's not even a family member. It's a guy I call my uncle who's my godfather, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Someone who he's close with, et cetera, through the connections or whatever. New gentleman who was actually super old and traded on a NYMEX old pit back in the day.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Back when they had
Yeah,
pits.
yeah, this dude's like 180 years old. But yeah, actually,
All right now.
I did like everything I could uh, to get around that guy so I could learn something from him about
Yeah.
trading. Like anything and everything. I would watch his car, whatever.
And this was like an
Uh,
in-person thing.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Guy
Okay.
lives out here in Jersey.
Okay.
Uh,
Sweet.
and you know, I did form a relationship with this guy. Luckily, like I said, I
Yeah.
think I'm like super, super lucky to have been able to put those, line those stars because otherwise, I mean, I probably would just throw in the towel back then and said, forget this isn't going to work. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, people have bills to pay. You gotta make money. But long story short, I was lucky enough to get with him, and he pretty much there was I can say like nothing that I learned from him was like on the technical side, if
Okay.
I'm wording that properly. But almost everything that I learned from that guy was just like life stuff straight out. I mean, this is like an older guy. I mean,
Mhm.
it was about trading, but it could all everything that I learned from him could also be applied to life. Like it's pretty amazing. But
Very interesting. What's like an
dude,
example of some that he taught you?
sure, like he pretty much introduced me to the idea of like the Stoics and like Stoicism,
Oh,
just to kind
wow.
of yeah, man. Which I mean, that's a whole other thing I could go off on for an hour.
That
Like,
would really fucking interest me actually, but go ahead.
dude, game changer for me. I mean,
100% for me too. Me too.
yeah, yeah. Um, so just to yeah, like for example, say I wouldn't be able to implement into my trading immediately, but like little by little, just taking what I learned from this guy and like kind of putting it into my day to day life and like with my family,
Hmm.
with my work, whatever I'm doing. Excuse me, whatever I'm doing. Eventually I was able to tie it into my trading, which
Right.
eventually kind of came full circle and all made sense. Like a lot of different stuff this guy taught me about, and he would tell me like some wild stories and stuff too.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's super cool. But, so yeah, anyway, long story short, that's I would say 16, 17. That's where I started to
Hmm.
see like the light at the end of the tunnel almost. Like okay,
Right.
we can make this work for sure. Actually, I excuse me, I met up with you in 2018, I believe, the end
Yeah,
of 2018.
2018.
Yeah. So when I don't know, I'm saying this obviously, this, but I'm just saying it for everyone else. Like when I met up with Krown, I was at that point I was doing okay. Like with my as far as trading goes, I was doing
Hmm.
better. I'll say, not perfect, not
But you're like survivable.
survive. Yeah, well, that's good. That's a good description for sure. Survive.
Gotta
I'll
start somewhere.
skin of my teeth. Yep.
Yeah.
And pretty much, I took some stuff, and like I said, when I got with you, I did the TA course,
Hmm.
and I got some things, just like little nuanced things from that course that I didn't. It was almost like the deal sealers, like these little nuances that had I not picked up in that course, like I wouldn't be able to do this. This wouldn't be what I do for a living,
Yeah.
if I hadn't gotten with you and figured these few things out, which is amazing, really. But
That's awesome to
um,
hear.
oh, dude, yeah, I mean, I appreciate you. Like, you don't even know, man. and it's crazy because it's like these, like I said, I mean, of course, this is just for me, and I can only speak for myself. I imagine everybody's experience is different. I mean,
Hmm.
I just know from the Discord, like all the guys that have had just that from doing the course and stuff like that, and some of the other things that they offer. And even if they're not like full-time traders or yada yada yada, just the progress that they make from when they come over to you and to the community and stuff, and it's just awesome overall, man. It's like everybody
Yeah.
helps each other. It's super sick. But yeah, like for me personally, yeah, like these little nuanced things. I don't want to, give away like your content and stuff, but like so I don't want to say an example, but little like things that you almost wouldn't even think of, but for me and for where I was at, they were like the nail, like not nail off.
Yeah.
That's the wrong phrase, but you know what I'm saying. They were like the
But it kind
deepest
of like
layers.
tied things together for you. 'Cause it sounds like you had a pretty
Exactly.
damn good base going into it. And that's really the kind of person who's going to actually exceed or succeed in a program like that. It's like you kind of need to have a bit of experience going into it, because otherwise you're going to have no fucking reference experiences to kind of like throw things back on. It's just going to be like a shit ton of
Sure.
information overload, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, so yeah, man. When I basically just started like connecting the final, not final.
Hmm.
It's never over. Obviously, we're always learning. I'm always learning every
Yeah.
day, no matter what. But it's like those as far as like major components to my trading, just in general. Like when I started putting those last few dots together there, when I got with you, 2018 or so. Um, that's really when I started seeing systems. Like from then on,
Yeah.
talking reasonable sample size, a year, 18 months, whatever. Uh, this one I started seeing more smooth equity curve, like
Yeah.
not boom and bust, not getting by the skin of my teeth, like actually doing it, and more. I'll put it this way, like my home life was a little on the fence there for a minute,
Oh, really?
because this is a rough thing to do. Like, yeah,
Yeah. No doubt.
um,
And you have a family on top of it too. Yeah.
exactly, dude. So things were getting a
Jesus.
little sketchy there for a minute, but um, yeah. So that I mean, again, that's you don't even know, man. I'm super grateful. I'm like super grateful that I met with that older gentleman who I mentioned
Mhm.
earlier and gotten with you and connected those final few things for me, man.
Well, dude, at the end of the day,
Super
man,
grateful for all
Jay,
that
like,
happened.
you were one of the guys who got in super early. I knew that you were going to be sus for yourself already because you had like a pretty decent background coming in, and especially the poker too. But you were one of the guys who was like really putting in a shit ton of work. Like, actually, I could see you in there just about every day, asking questions, and then also just being a part of the community as well. And that's what it takes. Like, I never want anyone to ever to think about this as being easy. And just like Jay said, like they can get fucking rocky at times. And look, most people do not make it, regardless of if they have a program or not. It doesn't like the statistics technically are against you. It takes a long time and a lot of like concerted effort. And it sounds like, Jay, for you, your journey, like once you kind of really started to switch over, it sounds like that was around 2015-ish region. It took you about 2 to 3 years before you felt like you were solid and consistent, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I would say like yeah, about 2.5 years, maybe a bit more, yeah. And I'm like,
Jesus.
dude, I'm like I don't know, man. I'm a pretty anything else like if someone were to teach me how to, I don't know, fix a motorcycle engine, I don't know,
Right.
whatever, something like anything that I can visually, like I'm usually pretty quick on picking things up. So
Yeah.
it was a rough go for me, like that's a stretch, man. 2.5 years getting beat up and like having a little bit of success, getting it snapped away from me. Like it was not easy. You're absolutely right about that. But I can say comfortably now that I would do it if I had to do it. If I had to put in that work and like that 2.5 year stretch, I had to do that 3 times over to know that the rest of my life I have a skill
Hmm.
that I can put to use and I don't have to all the bullet points. I'm my own boss and blah 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 blah. Like all that stuff is great, and
Hmm.
I would definitely put in that 2.5 years, 2 or 3 times over if I had to, honestly, if I had enough capital to make it that long.
Yeah, that's also the main thing is like people will blow out their fucking trading capital before they actually have that chance to even be successful, you know?
Yeah.
If you could put your like finger on one thing maybe, and it's never like truly one thing, but if you could say like one of the biggest things that kind of helped you turn the corner, what was it? Like a tangible thing?
Hmm. Um, I would say tangible thing. That's tough, man. Overall, I think, I like, I think that the majority, and I might be speaking out of pocket here because I don't know everybody who wants to be a trader, obviously, but just from
Oh, go
the
ahead, man.
encounters that I've had, I think that a lot of people get hung up on the wrong things. Like,
Okay.
I think that for me, I mean, obviously, I can only speak for myself, but like, I learned all the worst stuff about myself becoming a
Yeah.
trader because these are all things you have to fix to be able to do this.
Right. Right.
And I think technicals, I mean, I'm a technical trader. I trade futures, I trade ES, I trade NQ, the A time frame, I'm a technical trader. I'm not taking anything away from that because I make a living off technicals.
Right.
But I think that the mental aspect of it is so huge. Like, I think that people don't put enough focus on that. Like, I think to answer your question directly, like, I think when I started paying a lot more attention to documenting whether it's each trade, each session, each whatever,
Yeah.
documenting, journaling, like all the stuff that people typically kind of scoot to the side and don't want to do because it's the shit
Yeah.
that, sucks.
It's always that, man. Like if it's such a common thread for the people who I've had on this channel, and also just everyone that I've spoken to, whether they're in the community or not in the community, whatever the fuck, doesn't matter. It almost always comes down to that. It's like that self-reflection, which typically comes in the form of like having a journal or just something. People always want a fucking app to like do their journaling or something like that. Look, you can just do it on your goddamn phone or on a piece of paper the old-fashioned way.
Oh, dude, I got freaking literally
Yeah,
notes from
yeah,
each
there we
session.
go.
I got
Yeah.
I got books. I got all kinds of stuff over here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I used to put like little post-it notes on my screen. It's like, don't fucking do this again.
Dude, if you could see it, I
No
literally
fucking
have one
way.
right here. Not even kidding.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and those like little reminders, man, they're like little tattoos that you put on yourself because you've felt the pain so many goddamn times that you're like, look, I can't do this again. If I do this again, I can't look myself in the mirror anymore. Like that kind of a thing, and it's so
Absolutely.
consistent amongst many people. Like, and I'm sure I'm curious if you'd agree with this. Like, basically learning the technicals, like what you learn in the program, for example, it's not like it's not anything that fucking complicated, to be honest with you. Like anyone can learn how to like draw horizontals, for example, probably within a month or two at most. Like anyone can
Yeah,
learn that. So in order to actually trade off of that, well, there's something else that's kind of tying that in. It's typically that.
sure.
And just doing like the bare minimum of fucking documenting your trades is just such a humongous thing. By the way, I think this would
Yeah,
actually be a really good time for me to mention, guys, if you want to check out, Jay actually has his own YouTube channel where he does it's like he does like a video journal now, basically, at JE6, which I'll actually link in the description below, so you can go check him out whenever he goes live again and documents his sessions.
yeah. I mean, you're spot on with everything you just said. Like we were talking about right before we hopped on the call. I pretty much the YouTube thing. I just figured it would be cool to like put it out there. It is what it
Yeah.
is. I was like you just said. I was essentially recording my sessions anyway, like almost like a video
Mm-hmm.
journal, and mostly what I'll do is like go at the end of the week and usually go back. Um, I'll know like if I had a not stellar day Tuesday, for example, I'll go back Sunday evening or whatever.
Yeah.
Go look back specifically at Tuesday, see what happened, see uh, did I make a stupid mistake? Did I just get up? And again, So I don't mean to jump around, man, but it just popped into my head. I'm like
Oh
super
no, go for it.
ADHD. What you were just saying a second ago, what you were asking about, like that one thing, I think, and credit to you for the large majority of this too. It's like, dude, sleep, freaking exercise, like just like the things
Yeah.
that you would normally do, what people should do, because those things, man, like, and it just popped in my head again because I was thinking about, like, if I went back to that session, why did I screw up? Did I not get enough sleep? What was,
Mhm.
what was out of the ordinary or whatever? Um, and yeah, man, just like those little, almost obvious things that people let slip.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
know,
think people think that like trading is what they see on the fucking TV, and they think it's like you party, 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 stay up all fucking night with the strippers
it's
doing
like
blow off their
blow
ass
on.
and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's like, look, man, all the traders that I know who are like into really hard drugs, I'm not talking about like weed and shit like that, but I'm talking about like actual hard drugs and whatnot. They didn't last too long because you can't keep that up for too long.
yeah, I
It,
could
it
imagine.
wears you down.
Absolutely, man. Sleep was like that, like huge for me.
Yeah, me too,
Because I
man.
was just like, dude, especially like I know crypto, forex, anything that trades
Yeah,
overnight, futures, particular, anything
yeah,
like that. That's it's 100% right, man. When I first started getting into this stuff, I'm like all night at the computer.
yeah.
Like
It's like a video game.
now, exactly. Yeah, I know now when I am not 100% like focused in the zone. Like
Yeah,
I can immediately pick up on it, and it's like the same. It's like 3 hours, man. It's like three
yeah.
hours max. I mean, the way I trade, personally, which is,
3 hours max, really?
yeah, I'll come in before the open,
Hmm.
New York time, so like 9:30, 8:30 ish, New York time,
Hmm.
and from the bell, like I typically don't trade past 1:30 at the rate. Like I'll put it this way: I try to stop trading or not be in any trades by like 1:30 in the afternoon.
That's actually really interesting because when I was trading traditional markets, most of the business was pretty much done within an hour, hour and a half, and after
Yeah,
that, it's
yeah,
pretty quiet usually.
for sure. Sure. So, yeah, I couldn't like. I'm just thinking. I couldn't imagine being up for these like long stretches of work and like trying to treat your brain just doesn't work like that. It's not,
Yeah,
you can't make optimal decisions when you're not resting, when you're not hydrated, when you're not, all those things that you
absolutely.
should be.
So what does like a typical day look like for you then?
Um, I'm big on routine, which is
Right on.
again one of those things that I picked up from that older gentleman who mentored me basically,
Yeah,
was routine, man. It's literally it's changed a lot of stuff in my life, not just trading, but a lot of different stuff. But like, you know, to answer your question directly, I get up, again, this is Eastern Standard Time, so usually about like 6-ish,
okay.
between quarter to 6 and quarter after 6. And that varies a bit again because I got kids and it's just madness all the time. But from there, I pretty much do a little exercise. I'll go for a walk, get myself situated. I take usually about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the day again, just to kind of, I'm not big on like, I won't say meditation. I guess it is meditation though. I just kind of like sit there, clear my mind. Like,
It's like mindfulness. Yeah, I do the same
yep, I
thing.
don't talk
Do
to
you
anybody.
just out of curiosity, do you drink coffee?
Yeah, a bit. Not as much
Okay.
as I used to. Actually, I'll drink like a double shot of espresso like twice a
Really?
week, usually, like once or twice a week.
Oh, like a little treat.
Basically, yeah, yeah. Like how people like have like a whiskey after work or something. I don't
Right
drink
on.
anymore, so like I'll just have espresso in the morning. That's like my thing. I'll
Okay.
listen to for sure. But yeah, man. So basically, I try to knock a good amount of my like have to do's before I get to my desk. So like that's exercise, take my dog out, whatever. And then I'm pretty much at my desk at 8:30, uh, about an hour or so. I'm just kind of getting myself together, looking at the market, seeing what's going on, seeing how the
Hmm.
overnight session traded. Uh, taking it into the open, and I typically try not to trade from 12, again, New York time, Eastern Standard, to 1. And like I said, I'm usually trying to be done by like 1 or 1:30 anyway. So that
Yeah.
kind of leaves me some days being done at, 11:50 or noon, and some days being done at like 1:50, 2 o'clock.
How do you know when you're done?
That's actually a really good question. That took me a while to figure out, man, because
Me too. Me too.
yeah, I actually remember specifically hitting you up about this and was like, yo, it makes more sense to do this or this, and your answer definitely helped. I get, of course, like everybody's has, what works for them. Um, Naturally, you go to ask somebody who's been there, for advice, but what ended up where, and I kind of went each different avenue. Like, do you have a target for the day? Do you want to make X amount of dollars for the day? Do you want to make X amount of trades per day? Do you want, like all the different
Right.
stipulations you can put on yourself? And I found that usually by using the time, like time itself, 12 o'clock noon or what have you.
Right.
And if I have like a threshold, basically, like I have rules for myself, for lack of better words.
Okay.
Like if I'm at or near that threshold, anytime before like the London session close, like 11:30 a.m., I'll call it a day. If I'm stuck money, or if I'm, negative P&L, around lunchtime, 12:30ish, I will trade the remainder of the afternoon. Excuse me. And of course, I'm not, I'm human, and I do when I shouldn't sometimes, but generally, I would say a very high percentage of the time, 98% of the time, I stick to my rules, because
Yeah.
is, like anybody else, when you don't, that's why there's rules there. If you don't follow them, you get wrecked.
Right on. Yeah. Learn the hard way.
Yep. And it's funny because I've learned also that it's the other way too. If in other words, like if you make a decent amount of money in the morning, right at the open, saying by 9:40, you're up however much, and realistically, that's it. Like you don't need to really trade the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like I feel like everything in trading is like a balancing act, man. Because you like in that situation, for example, right? You want to take that P&L in. You don't want to give it back to the market, of course.
Exactly.
But you're in the zone. You're trading well, and your setups are occurring. Do you ignore them? I mean, I like to usually take them. So it's mostly, let's say it's everything for me is like what mental state I'm in, what space I'm in. Like, am I sharp? Am I good? Am I, foggy? I'm not 100% there. Like, I'll just not trade. I'll take a day off if I have to. It makes sense. Like it's almost like it's very easy to like avalanche. You have like one bad session. It starts like you make a couple bad trades, you hit a couple stops, right? You start getting a little aggressive, maybe like sizing up when you shouldn't size up, things like that. And it's just like I struggled with that for a really long time, man. Like that kind of downward slope where you just start making one bad decision, the next one, the next one. So
it's the spiral
nowadays,
of death, man.
yeah, and it gets real ugly real quick, man. So like as soon as which I've gotten much better at the past few years, recognizing that, for example, like say, and people recognize the stuff, think about it too. So I would suggest people take this into consideration, like, especially if you're struggling with like tilt or like, like over trading or whatever it is, you can like physically, most people I would imagine, you'll grip your mouse tighter, your jaw, like whatever it is, you'll be like tense, your shoulders and stuff. Like when you notice that stuff, it's like you got to just back up from your desk or keyboard or computer or whatever and take a lap and either call it a day or whatever, call it a week. I don't know. Like there's no, you can't trade in that state of mind. And like being aware of that for me is the most important thing, I think.
Yeah. Mindfulness sounds like it's pretty fucking massive.
And it's crazy, man, because I never meditated in my life. Like, I've never been like into that type
Oh
of a.
yeah, I always used to think it was bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Me
Totally.
too, big time. And it's. I mean, the past few years, it's everything. Like, and again, it kind of spills into, for me anyway, like spills into just everyday life, which is awesome. But
Yeah.
my trading particularly, it's that's the, if there's anything that's close to a holy grail, and there's not, but if there were, it would be my,
I think
in
so
my
too.
opinion.
I think so too. So what is like the rest of your day like after you kind of turn down your terminal?
Um, like when I'm done trading for the day,
Yeah,
terminal off.
like how do you spend the rest of the time?
Um, I usually like I'll kick it online for a little bit
Yeah.
with some friends, shoot the shit, whatever. Um, I usually don't exercise in the afternoon because I try to get it in the morning, and like I've been slacking a little bit. Uh, it's starting to get nice out again, so I'll be outdoors a lot more because I live down here by the shore in Jersey.
Yeah.
The nicer it gets, the closer I'm getting to the beach, man. And I just like to enjoy
So you're
what
mostly just like
natural.
relaxing and resetting for the next day.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I don't do the bar scene. I don't do none of that stuff. No,
Yeah, I feel
can't
like
do
you
it.
kind of get that out of your way in the 20s and then
Oh yeah,
kind of
yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah. And especially, I mean, even I don't know. I couldn't imagine like going out for. I'm sure some people do. I couldn't imagine going out for like some drinks and stuff, and then like waking up and trading the next morning.
No.
For Dude, for me, it's like the littlest thing can throw me off. That's why
Totally.
it's
I'm the
like
same way, man. I'm the
the
same way.
the routine's got to be. It's almost like like militant. It's like
Yeah. But
I
that's, I
have to
mean,
be
but
like
that's the
that.
thing. Like, would you have it any other way, or do you like have these priorities and you're happy about it?
I've learned to love it actually. It's like
Interesting.
yeah, man, it's very weird because like I said, I've never been one for. I've just always like even when I was like a kid or younger or whatever, like I just always kind of been like an asshole, like skater punk, all that nonsense, like
Yeah, doing your
not
thing.
like yeah, 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 no, no, like no, I don't want structure and stuff like that. It's just I guess the older you get, the more it makes sense. Maybe I'm not sure, but I
Yeah.
mean, if you asked me 10, 15 years ago, like, hey, do you want to get up at the crack of dawn every morning and exercise and, do this, that, and the third and sit quiet by yourself in a room with your eyes closed for 10, 20 minutes before you work? Like, no, hell no. Of course not. But yeah, dude, I take it all in now, man. I love it.
Right
Like,
on.
I
What
feel
time do you go to
off if
bed?
I don't. I try to go to bed pretty early. Well, for me, early, like 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So I've actually found it's kind of weird, man, because I feel like sometimes I operate better on less sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like less, like 4 or 5 hours.
Really?
Um, and if I sleep more than 8 hours,
Yeah.
forget about it. I'm like 8 hours is good, and like 4 hours is good. It's very strange, but anything over 8 hours, I'm like, the next day, I'm just like not. I'm like foggy, kind of
Yeah.
drowsy, not really in it.
Sluggish.
Um, exactly, yeah. But yeah, I typically try to 10 o'clock call at night. Um, but again, I got little ones and it's tough, man.
Oh, right
Sometimes,
on.
or,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
do
kind
my
of want to think,
best.
I kind of want to switch things up for a second here. So when I watch your videos, and correct me if I'm wrong, but would it be fair to say that your sort of main disposition as a trader is using mostly short-term time frames on traditional markets, scalping? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So with that in mind, just I think this is a question that a lot of people are pretty much interested in.
Hmm.
What's like your favorite indicator? What would be like your top three indicators that you use on a day-to-day basis?
I like horizontal lines across my
Mhm.
chart. Number one. Um, one maybe like RSX, RSI, same difference, basically
Gotcha.
like a
Yeah, same
momentum
thing.
indicator. Um, and I'm a market profile guy, so
Ah, okay.
you probably see it in the
Yeah, I can
background
see
here.
your
Like
volume profile over there.
Yeah, it's weird little bell curves.
And
So
just so you know,
basically,
everyone, that's volume profile session, by the way, not
right,
not visible.
right,
That's
right,
actually
right.
the way that you're
So
supposed to look at it, by the way.
yeah, yeah. So actually, I have Bitcoin up,
Oh yeah,
but yeah. So like, I don't know. It's probably pretty far away, but if you can see how there's like two separate profiles there, like Krown was just saying,
oh,
this is the
okay, yeah.
New
What's
York session.
oh, okay. So you're splitting it up.
This darker one is the right. This is the overnight session with this darker
Gotcha.
background
Okay.
here. And then on this, like this is the volume profile on this side, and then market profile on this side. So
Gotcha.
volume profile where you have the volume by price, which most people are familiar with. Um, and like this is basically like the foundation of what my
Right.
trading, volume by price obviously is your volume profile here, and market profile is pretty similar but a little different, and it goes by time as opposed to, so each of those little letters, they're called TPOs, are
Mm-hmm.
for a half an hour. So
Gotcha. Okay.
kind of similar to like a half an hour chart, like a 30-minute bar chart,
Very
in
interesting.
other words.
On like an average day, I know this is kind of a bullshit question, but if you could, on an average day, like how many trades do you put in from start to finish?
Um, on average, about 20, 20 to 25 minutes a day.
Wow. Okay.
That's well. Let me say this: I use NinjaTrader as my platform, and they count things kind of differently. So it's weird. Like
I
so
do like
say I
Ninja Trader,
have,
by the way.
I love it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I know one
I
of the other
love it.
guys
Yeah.
uses it. Sacred. He's really onto it as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely, man. Yeah, Ninja's killer. I used what's the trade station for like a year or so too, and that was
Yeah.
okay. But um, yeah, Ninja's sick, dude, and they're really good too, as far as their like support and everything. But shit, I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about a second ago?
We were talking about average trades in a
Oh,
session.
right, 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 right. So if you, and within the Ninja platform, right? If you, they count their trades kind of funny. So like, let me say this: like, if one position would be like putting on, say, 3 lots and peeling them
Mm-hmm.
off one at a time, in
Yep.
thirds or whatever, we'll count that as one trade. Then we'll say 10 to 15 trades.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and again on average, because so it's kind of weird, man. I like most people trade well and enjoy more trending markets. And I'm the exact
Yeah.
opposite. I like give me an identifiable range and I'm good to
Yeah.
go.
Ranges.
I'll beat
Same.
that thing up until it breaks. Um,
Well, the market's
so
ranging 70% of the time. So like it actually makes more sense to be that type of person.
absolutely. And I was just talking to somebody in your Discord the other day, actually,
Mm-hmm.
because I posted a chart. I forget exactly what we were talking about, but long story short, um, the conversation kind of went that way, and I'm like, if you can make it as, I mean, I'm saying simple. Obviously, it's not simple, but like if you can keep it as simple as possible to where like you can identify the market easier said than done,
Yep.
trending or ranging, and then have that strategy ready to go for that specific market, applicable to the
Mm-hmm.
range or the trend or whatever, and implement the proper strategy. That's the way I kind of broke it down for myself, and that was very, very important for me. Like,
Yeah.
because if you're looking for one thing, you can't tell the market what to do. Obviously, you take what the market gives you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you react accordingly. So if you, I mean, in my opinion, it's one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing, is to keep everything in context. I'd say it's like the most important thing for me,
Yeah.
which is what I use the market profile stuff for. But yeah, just kind of keeping a zoomed out view, I guess, for lack of better words, and knowing what's happening in the bigger picture, particularly if you're trading, session, uh,
Yeah.
low time frame stuff like that.
I think it's also worth highlighting here, just before we get too far away from it. Fellas, if you're listening to this, we have another professional trader who uses at pretty much 3 indicators. Just to put a little bit of highlight on that, because I see so many people, man, who have like fucking 10 indicators on their goddamn chart, and it's like that's not going to make you trade better. If anything, it's just going to give you analysis paralysis and not going to help at all. Like, you
Yeah,
want to simplify shit for the most part, because trading is, technically speaking, mostly simple. You can only just get in your own way by over fucking thing, basically.
essentially, exactly. Yeah, man, 100% too. Like that's another thing that I came to the realization too. Like, why do I have all this shit on my chart? Like, get this out of here. I don't need it. Either A, it's telling me the same thing that this other thing is telling me, or B, it's like, in my case particularly, again, if I'm, I guess in any trader's case really, but I can speak for myself. Like intraday, if I'm looking to scout 2 points on ES or 10 points on NQ,
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't want 10 things disagreeing with each other.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it, which is going to give me 2 signals maybe a day. If I'm looking to take more trades than that, I want you know my levels. I get my levels right and where they should be. That's if I could choose one thing, it would be literally horizontal lines. I mean,
Yeah.
and
I pretty
again,
much
going
feel
back
that.
to
Yeah, I know, man, but I always like to go. I love that you said that, because I always like to go back whenever someone like, asks me a question or something. It's like, look, you can use all the fucking indicators in the world, but plenty of fucking fortunes have been made just using the simplest of tools like horizontals, for example. That was pretty much my main strategy in all of 2019, and it wasn't like my best year, but it's a pretty damn good year, and it was mostly simple. I think anyone can learn that for the most part. It's just basically kind of marking up lower, highs and lows, essentially. I mean, that's
yep,
not anything too crazy.
especially with like the futures market, man. I
Yeah.
found it very interesting that it's like very, very prominent that there's a lot of business being done at yesterday's high, yesterday's low, yesterday's 50% mark,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, which is what a lot of that lines up kind of with the 50% mark because of the POC, unless you're in like a short squeeze or something like that. But yeah, in traditional land, like very, I don't want to say static, but like clear kind of areas
Yeah.
to be aware of,
Trades a
like
lot more technically. I agree.
super technical, yeah. And on that, man, I was really stoked to hear about the micro Bitcoin contracts they're doing with
Oh
CME.
yeah, definitely.
I think that's, I mean, who knows, obviously. But I think with the way that the micro NQs, ESs, and micro
Mhm.
currency contracts and all that, and options now too, micro options with the way they've been doing a lot of volume, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
Oh
just
yeah.
think maybe that's I feel like that's a reasonable barrier to entry, for people to
Yeah.
have Bitcoin exposure. Like,
Well, right now, I mean, if you want to trade on CME, you got to have like 5x your collateral, I think, in order to trade
it's yeah,
one contract. Like retailers can't really do that, you know. So once
no,
once you get these mini contracts, then you'll get a lot of retailers coming to the market, and I don't know, man, just be more maturation, I guess. Are you gonna jump back into Bitcoin land if and when that happens?
well, that's why I was kind of excited about it. I'm curious to see how how that plays out.
Yeah.
It's really amazing to see. I mean, like I have Bitcoin pretty much just like uh, I mean, it's spot like off
Mhm.
exchange like a little bit. I'm super stoked about. By the way, like ridiculous the way Bitcoin performs. But I know
Yeah.
it's just
Right.
outrageous.
Right.
But as far as like on the day to day, intraday trading stuff, uh, Bitcoin's just not a good fit for me for that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Well, it's
weekly
it's
stuff,
not going
yeah,
to play into your
absolutely.
strategy as well. I'm exactly the same way, because I love to trade ranges. Like that's where I'm going to do probably my best. Bitcoin is, you know, it's been trending for like the last, I don't know, 6 to 8 months, pretty damn hard. So to
Yeah,
me, it's
yeah,
like, all right, I'll just go into a higher time frame and, you know, use some more long-term strategy, but it doesn't really require as much from you, you know? So it's
yeah, for
completely different,
sure.
yeah, completely different sort of mentality, I suppose. Hey, here's something that I want to ask you too, before we go, because I realize we're coming up on an hour now and I want to be respectful of your time. And also I got to go relatively soon too, but,
Yes, sir.
okay, so what would you say right now as someone who is consistently successful for, you know, multiple years now, what would you say is a thing that you are struggling with the most still, or maybe something that you want to work on?
Good question. Um, I would say, I think actually what we were talking about earlier,
Okay.
as far as like, if I like, again, I have that static rules for myself. Like
Yes.
brick, if I brick, 6 trades in a row, like it's a wrap, obviously for
Hmm.
the day. Um, Even every so often, I'll go around my own rules.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much as I used to because I wouldn't be able to string together a winning month doing that. But yeah, every so often, I'll go around like a rule that I have set for myself, which
Hmm.
is, I mean, this just can't happen, and it does because again, we're human, we're not perfect. And when I make a bad decision like that, like the good thing is now I immediately know and like, you know, put it to
Yeah.
bed. Like
So it's
those
been like a
trades, like
progressive
turn,
kind of elimination almost of that.
dude, absolutely, man. I think that with anything regarding like over trading, till anything like that, like the major things that take people out when they're trading, um,
Hmm.
I think that there's like you just said it, like there's almost like tiers. Like first,
Hmm.
everyone knows that feeling when you're like, what the fuck did I just do? Like it's you blow up your account, you lose a
Yeah.
dumb bunch of money, whatever, and like in that time when it was happening, like there's no telling you, nothing is stopping you. You're just doing it's like you freeze almost.
Yeah.
And then that's like one tier. Then the following tier is like you recognize it because you've been like training yourself to recognize it,
You
and
become
you
conscious of
know
it. Yes.
exactly. And then you still do it, and you're like,
That's
"Fuck!
conscious
I knew I was
incompetence.
doing it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and I fucked it up anyway." And then
Yeah.
after that, it's like, okay, I realize what I'm doing, or I realize what I'm about to do. Like my fucking heart rate or whatever it is, you're tense.
Hmm.
You're not where you should be, and then you react, and whatever your reaction is. For me personally, it's get up and take a lap. I
Yeah.
literally get away from my desk. I walk out of the room. I go
And
outside,
hold on,
whatever.
just before you go on, Jay said something really fucking important there. He used the word react. He used the word react rather than respond, meaning that like you basically made an action without even fucking thinking about it. Like that's
Mm.
and that's where you obviously don't like. Usually those are going to be pretty fucking bad actions, you know.
Yeah, 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 absolutely, man. And then,
So basically, at that point, you take
once,
yourself away.
right. And that's, for maybe for some people, it's like 4 tiers or 5 tiers. For
Hmm.
me, it was like those three specifically. I would just, first, I'd
Gotcha.
be like, fuck, what did I do? Two, I'm like, I know I'm fucking up, but I'm still fucking up. And then, finally, after a while, it's like you hit your head against the
Yeah.
wall times. And that's the cool thing about like you, especially like I've done some one-on-one work with people too. Like
Hmm.
I've done that so many times that hopefully I can tell someone, look, man, I banged my fucking head against the wall 638 times. You
Hmm.
don't have to do that. Take my word for it. Like this isn't how you make it work. You got to do this. Like and to have somebody around like that, I think is you know, it's tough. People, like you said, you got to value people's time. You can't expect people to take tons of time out of their personal life and
Yeah.
hold your hand every step of the way. But like, I just encourage people to. I feel like there's a lot of competitiveness between, like it's you versus you, man, not you
Yeah.
versus every other trader or you versus the market. It's you versus you. So like, if someone's giving you something that can help you in your trading, instead of fighting them on it, maybe like take a step back and maybe it's not for you, but maybe you can implement that into your day to day, trading or whatever it is. And help you, maybe, you know.
Right on. Right on. All right, man. Jay, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. I want to let everyone know
Always, man.
that you can find Jay at JE6, just the letter J, and then obviously have a link description below as well. But we've literally just gone for an hour, man. It didn't feel like that long at all. It's kind of
Dude,
fucking
not at
crazy.
all, man. No,
So
no.
I want to, yeah,
Appreciate you
man.
having me, dude.
Dude, massive thank you for coming on, man. This has been really, really great. So I'm sure we'll stay in touch, and we'll talk it out, and maybe do it again sometime in the not so distant future.
Sounds good, brother.
Alrighty, brother. Hey, everyone.
Take care, man.
Thanks for tuning on in, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.